Hello there, my name's Sue Shardlow. I am the Developer Community Manager here at Redis. Thanks for joining us today. Today I'm joined by all of my friends and colleagues on the usual This Week on Discord team, and I'll ask them to put themselves in the mix in a second. But first, let me just tell you what this is in case it's the first time you're joining us. So we here at Redis have a community on Discord, which is a chat platform. You can join if you go to discord.gg/Redis. It's free of charge to join. We just ask that you stick to our code of conduct, which you'll see when you come in for the first time. And yeah, you can come and chat with other Redis fans about all things Redis in here. So what we have been doing for the past few months is every week picking out some questions that we really loved from Discord and just highlighting them on this show, anonymizing the asker. Not that there's anything to be embarrassed about at all. We just preserve everybody's anonymity for the purposes of our stream. So it's currently streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So twitch.tv and youtube.com/Redis Inc. if you want to watch or follow there. And all the recordings of these shows are on our YouTube channel, so youtube.com/Redis Inc. So each week we feature maybe 4 to 6 questions that have come up in Discord, and we're always really happy to see people asking things, and sometimes we're surprised. I think that's because we live and breathe Redis, and sometimes we forget about things that people might want to know. So it's always a good reminder for us as well. But the purpose of this show is to give you a bit of a taste of what we've been talking about in Discord over the week, and just to let you know that there is no such thing as a silly question. So if you do have anything you want to chat to us about, join us on Discord and you can see. And the last thing I want to say before we go into it is we are now in December. I don't know why it's a surprise to me, but it is. December happens at the same time every year, but it always feels like it just creeps up on you and suddenly there it is. So I live in England, as you can probably tell from the accent. Here in England, we're quite big on Christmas. It may or may not be the same where you are, but here they're playing all Christmas songs, and they're playing the greats today on the radio in the car. Mariah Carey, Kelly Clarkson, the greats. And we did not know at the time that those songs would become classics, but they did. So let us know in the chat, are you celebrating any festivals that are coming up? If so, are you listening to the good festival music? And if so, what are your favorite songs that you're hearing? If you hear somebody humming in the background while one of my colleagues is speaking, it's probably me humming Kelly Clarkson because it's an earworm from about 4 hours ago. Cool. So today's the 2nd of December. We've got a few questions of different topics we want to get through today. I'm joined by Savannah, Justin, and Simon. Please join me, people. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you all today, Savannah? I'm going to start with you.
Oh, perfect. I am getting over a cold, so if I randomly stop talking and cut my audio, it's because I'm coughing.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I'm great.
We had a different festival. All our friends in America had a different festival last week, Thanksgiving, and everyone mixed with everybody, and unfortunately it was a bit of a germ soup for some people. Justin, you're nodding. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, my grandmother, fortunately, I got to see my grandmother for Thanksgiving. The whole family was together, but it turns out that she had COVID. And so all of us were a little at risk of getting COVID. And I did get a cold, and I was under the weather for about half a week, but it wasn't COVID. So I guess no harm, no foul. No foul, no turkey fowl. So yeah, that came with the Thanksgiving dinner, I guess. But yeah, I'm good now.
It was a free gift.
Yeah.
That's the thing when, in the past 2 and a bit years, whenever you feel a bit iffy, is this the dreaded COVID or is it just a cold? It's quite difficult to tell because they're all part of the same happy family, aren't they? Yeah. So Simon, you're British and American. So tell me what's been happening with you recently.
Well, a couple of things. If you've been following the World Cup, the US and England had to play each other and nobody won or lost that. So that was a thing, and they both seem to have gone through and still be in it. So that's a thing. So I don't have to pick a side yet, which is a thing. So yeah, other than that, it's Friday evening here, and yeah, it's the usual sort of end of the week. It's quite dark out there, so at least the light will be consistent over this call now because it's dark when we start here.
Yeah, the football. There are a lot of football fans. There are a lot of people that don't like football, or soccer, as you call it in some countries. But yeah, the fact that nobody won that match means that you did not have to pick a side. So you were very lucky there. And sometimes it happens with the draw, because I remember I used to like watching tennis, and you had the Williams sisters. Sometimes they did the draw, so they didn't actually meet until the very end. So that could happen, I guess. That could still happen. Maybe. I can't remember what the draw looks like, but I'm really looking forward to the Women's World Cup next year. We'll see the Americans and the British people. Yeah, very good. Cool. Let us get on with it. We have no more talk about songs and festivals and soccer. But please do type in the chat if you want to about any of those topics. We are going to focus on Redis now, because that's what you all came here to hear about. So let us have a look at the first question. It's going to be my good friend and colleague Justin going to be talking about this. Now, we do get this a lot in Discord, and I don't know, I always feel so like my heart goes out to people and they say, I have a problem. I just feel so emotional when I see this. So this person said, I have a problem, can you help me? Of course we can. Well, we can try. I can't promise, but yes, on this occasion, yes, we could help. So Justin, please talk to us about this one.
Yeah. And these are always good ones because this is kind of like a forensic, like science analysis. Like here's like this, here's this pile of error. Like what happened? And sometimes we like a little bit more supporting information, like what did you do? What are you trying to do? Things like that. But fortunately, we can understand this. It looks like somebody is starting up a Node.js project because they're using NodeMon, or as I like to call in bootcamp, NoDemon. But the thing that I'm looking at right there, the second line on the bottom, error reply, error unknown command, ft.drop index with args beginning with filter : index. That means that this person is trying to run a Node.js application where there's a Redis command, ft.drop index. And it's saying, whoa, I have no idea what this command is. So that's telling me that they have Redis instantiated within their application, but they don't have the right Redis. And specifically, they don't have a Redis instance that includes search. So you're looking at you'll want to have either the Redis search module, which is our older module, or just use Redis stack, which has everything. If you just use Redis stack, then Redis, the search and query functionality is included, and then that will actually solve it. And it did. And we are all able to actually see that because we've actually seen this problem before on our own computers and whatnot. So, and there was actually a bonus question, a little bit of a follow-up question that I wanted to include here. And this is also a good one that's also nuanced. This person asked, how do I use ioredis with Redis-OM? So they're using ioredis, which is a Redis client. It's not run or maintained by Redis, but somebody actually did it. And that's great. But Redis-OM, which is our object mapping client for Node.js, does not run on top of ioredis. It requires Node-Redis, which is a huge distinction. Node-Redis is a client library for Node.js that is maintained and run by Redis. And let me just pop this up here. This is our big write-up. It's really, really thorough, and I really, really like it. I'll throw up a link right here. But this will actually run down how Redis-OM works, specifically with Node.js. And it does actually say, you will have to also include Node-Redis. It doesn't actually say this in the prerequisites, but within here you'll see it. And yeah, it's not a huge transition. the pain isn't great when you switch from ioredis to node-redis in order to use Redis-OM. But it is something that you'll want to, take a look at. And we have a really good write-up here on how to integrate that. And if you want to actually look at some of the code, here we have Redis-OM. And this is lovingly written and maintained by Guy, our colleague. And this also gives a great rundown on how to integrate Redis-OM with your with your Node.js application. So that was a twofer question, and that was really good. I wanted to sort of cover those both because they're kind of integrated together. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
Nice, thanks for that. I love a 2-for-1. Like last week when you all were eating your turkey and swimming in the germ soup, we were talking about Black Friday sales and did anyone buy themselves any toys? And so that's a little Black Friday present to you, a late Black Friday present, a little 2-for-1. So let's have a quick look in the comments. I'm just going to remove that. Captain Codeman, thanks for joining us today. Captain Codeman is one of our Redis certified geeks. I'll talk to you about what that means later. Captain Codeman says it wouldn't be a lot of work to change Redis-OM to support ioredis as a client via an adapter. Yeah. We love it when people share their opinions with us. Yeah. What do you think, Justin? You seem to be in agreement there.
I mean, sure, absolutely. The question does rise of, does that create a lot of work? Might be. And we want to get we want to get Redis-OM up to parity for Node.js with all the other programming languages. So our goal is to actually get embedded objects integrated with Redis-OM. So we're probably going to focus first on Node.js, and then we could possibly look at using ioredis in the future. But first things first. I love that idea. That would actually make adaptation and integration a lot easier for a lot of people.
There are so many ideas, and Captain Codeman has done the right thing and created an issue on the repo. So while we cannot promise to do all the things, we would love to do all the things, especially great ideas like this one. Feel free to put an issue in and we will have a look and see how that fits in with our little roadmap. Cool. Okay, let us move on. Just have to make sure I don't accidentally drop anyone from the stream while I'm removing the comments. So next one then. Now this is a short and sweet question, very concise and to the point, very easy to understand. Can I completely wipe an HSET value and using it again with new data? Or do I have to make a transaction of del and HSET again? And Simon is going to talk to us about this one.
Yeah, so a little bit of scene setting here for people who don't know what these things are. So commands that begin with H in Redis generally operate on something called a hash, which looks roughly like an object in a lot of languages, but a flat object. So a single key in Redis that points to sort of any number of keys and values, and we'll look at what that means in a minute. So it's kind of like an individual Redis. And the question is, if you use HSET, which is the command that sets fields in the hash, to set, say, different fields than what are already set, what happens to the ones that were already set? So let's take a look at that. And this is actually kind of a nice use of Redis Insight, because what we can do is type commands down here in the CLI and we can kind of watch the results of them up here in the browser. So first off, I'm going to create a key and I'll just call it like HSET user :1. We'll model a user. I'll have a field called name, and that can be Simon. I'll have a field called email, and that can be whatever, at something.com, and I'll have a field called location, and that can be UK. So if I do that, we get a response 3. So that means we've basically changed or updated 3 values in a hash. One of the things that I always say is quite joyful about Redis is we didn't have to create a hash or define a schema for it. And I can, in fact, do HSET user :2, and then I could do like name Suze, and I could do email something else at whatever.com. And then I could do something completely different, like position, and do community manager. So that's also got 3 fields, but they're different fields. And if you're used to, say, a SQL like table-based relational database, that's sort of a bit weird. If you're used to NoSQL, it's a bit more choose your own adventure. It's on the application as to what the schema looks like. So if I go and hit refresh up here, you'll see in my user subset, I have a couple of keys here. And let's pick one and we can get a tabular representation of the value there in Insight. So we've got these 3 things. And what I'm going to do is turn on the auto refresh here so that this will like poll Redis, and if anything changes, it'll update that. So the question is, what happens if I do HSET user :1 and like, is this going to overwrite the object? Is it going to add to it? Is it going to partially overwrite it? And basically the answer is it's going to overwrite anything that's already there with something that has the same name in this HSET command. So if I do name and change it to like my full name, then I would expect that to change. And if I add something else, so I add like city, and I put in where I am sat right now, then I would expect that to be a new thing. So if I hit return, what you'll see is this is auto refreshed and it's updated the name. So that one got updated and this one got added. So the question is, what happens if I want to completely overwrite this object? Because there's no schema here. I don't know what all the fields are. Setting them to like null isn't a thing in Redis. If you want to get rid of one, you can do HDL. So I could do HDL user :1. Maybe we decide city isn't a thing that we care about anymore. That goes away. As you can see, it's vanished. And then if I want to completely remove it, I could do del user :1 or unlink. The del and unlink commands kind of do the same thing. One's a little bit more synchronous than the other. So now I've got no key there. It got deleted and I've only got user 2 left. And now I'm free to like, let's scroll back through here, just like reset it to something else. It's going to reappear in here and it will have some new values. There we go. So that. But what if you want to do these 2 things like atomically? So the way Redis transactions work is you'll want a transaction. And there's a command called multi that starts a transaction. There's a command called exec that runs it. So what this means is you can, here's a good example, you issue the multi command, Redis comes back with, okay. You put commands that you want in this transaction and it queues them up. And then when you hit exec, it sends them to the server. And there's also ways of doing sort of watching a key to say, don't do this transaction if something else changes the key in the meantime. So transactions is a wider topic. And the way that this works in a lot of Redis clients is you start chaining commands together. So you do like client.exec something .whatever .something else .whatever all your commands are. So that's going to vary on based on the programming language you're using, but in the CLI it looks something like this. So yeah, that's kind of like HSET. So you can think of, if these are objects and these keys here are like pointers to those objects, then issuing another HSET to the same pointer is going to amend fields in that key, but it's not going to overwrite it completely.
Cool. Thanks for that. Yeah. And just as a reminder as well, like say you had a similar question, like, if I do this, what's going to happen? You can always try it out. And if you don't want to try it out on your own data, then you could just go into our GitHub and find a data set that suits and download that to your machine and try it out. Or if you haven't taken RU 101, or even if you have, and I'll show you that later on, we have a data set in there because it's a course all about Redis data structures. And yeah, it might be that you can try it out on that, and it encourages you to download Redis Insight and all of that good stuff as well. So yeah, we would encourage you to experiment, but obviously not on a really important like master copy of your data set. You use an example one. if it needs be. But yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, I
Cool.
think if you need a database to do that in as well, just sign up for a free trial or just use Docker.
Yeah, there's a good free trial tier that you can use that will serve all your experimental needs as long as they're not too space heavy. If you want to find out more about different commands as well, go to redis.io/commands. We gave you a link there in the chat to the HSET page. You can take the HSET off the end of the link, then you get to the whole commands arena, and there are probably more than you can guess. I think we probably should guess how many commands there are, because like we're always surprised when we learn about a new one. So yeah, go and have a look there. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. Don't blame me if you don't come back, but it's cool. All right, let us move on to the next question. And this again is Justin. So Lua scripts. I haven't heard about Lua scripts for ages. So I saw this one. I was like, wow, okay, I'm definitely going to dump this in the channel and see if we can do that. So because we go through each week, through the week, we go through Discord and we pick out questions that catch our eye, put them in our Slack channel, and then towards the end of the week, we select the ones we're going to feature. So yeah, I saw this one. I was like, okay, interesting. So when creating custom commands with Lua, are Lua scripts stored on the server, or are they bound to the client session? Justin?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there are some very specific things to think about with Lua. Scripts, when writing custom commands with Lua, the scripts are stored as a cache within a Redis server instance. So you can call upon them, but if there's a server failure or if it fail over to like a replica, or if there's a reboot or anything like that, that cache will be gone. It does not persist within the Redis server instance. So it is important to make sure that all of your client applications have access to those Lua scripts in case that happens, so you can actually create those again and implement those into your Redis instance. And there's always, as always, a good section to read up on this. This is scripting of Lua. It's in our redis.io docs. You just go ahead and Google scripting of Lua Redis. And this gives you a really, really great rundown of how Lua scripts work and how to basically run them with your instance. That being said, there's always something exciting that we want to share with you, and that is Redis functions. Now, Redis functions, they can persist to your Redis server instance. You load them up before loading up the server as an argument. So these can persist in your RDB file, and they can be ran from the server. And there you go. And it currently uses, we support Lua with it, but there are going to be support for other languages. And this is kind of what we're really excited about. And in the future, there will be engines for programming languages where you can actually run custom programming languages that we all know and love. And that's really exciting. And that's all the hints I'll give you later on. But these are really cool because you can actually share this code. Other people can actually access your functions within the same Redis instance. So there's a lot more flexibility. I definitely recommend checking this out if you want to go a little bit above and beyond having Lua scripts locally cached in Redis, where these can actually persist. So if you restart or replicate onto another node with your Redis, as long as you're sure that the command when starting up a Redis server includes running these functions, you'll be golden. So that is my little rundown of Lua.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, we love being golden. We love it when somebody can tell us how to be golden. So thanks for that answer. Love it when somebody says, you do that, you'll be golden. The best way to be, isn't it? Cool. Okay, let us move on. Again, now, Redis data structures. Let's see, we're getting moving on. I feel like I've got a lot of excess energy today, and I have no idea why, because I am actually quite tired. So apologies to anybody who's watching this in fast mode, because also, and I feel like I keep going back and back. I just can't sit still. I don't know why, but yeah, I know you love it, so it's all good. Right, so the next question. Hi all. This was a really sort of peppy greeting. I like it. I'm glad this person's got a lot of energy too. Does anyone know about a tutorial or blog about using Redis time series together with stock data? They want to convert a real-time stock price using WebSockets into OHLC data and also downsample it to multiple timeframes. Hoping to read about experiences from somebody else. And Savannah's going to talk about this one.
So, Suze, I almost got really excited because, like, the tail end of your not the last question, but the one before, where you were talking about how you can go find a Redis data set. I was like, oh, you're going to lead perfectly into my question, because my answer is that we have, let me just, oh, that's the wrong screen to make bigger. Hold on.
Oh, we need to edit that piece out of the video.
I know. We have this great GitHub that's just called Redis Developer. And all of these apps are things that are maintained and written by people at Redis. So they're demos, they're, small apps, they're things that we have built on Redis. And one of them, if you search time series, maybe it's not called time series, but yeah, there is actually in here, if you search, Redis time series stock GitHub, it's under the data sets. But you can see right here, there's a data model for stock prices and technical indicators using Redis time series. So in this Redis developer library, you can find quite a lot of things. And if you just search data, this very last one is Redis datasets. It is a curated list of sample Redis datasets. So it's things that are intentionally made for, Redis Bloom, Redis Search, Redis Gears, Graph, JSON, Redis time series. And you can find these sort of really cool, really clear examples of how we're using these data structures, how we're using some of these pieces of code, all that stuff. It's a really great repository to check out if you're looking for, how to get started doing something, because there's a good chance you can find something that, will at least get you started on the right path. You probably won't find exactly what you're looking for because you probably come up with this new great idea that's, all on your own. But you can definitely find a good place to get started for a lot of different types of apps and using a lot of different types of data structures in here, as well as that data set folder where you can find some pretty cool data sets that sort of highlight certain things about different Redis data structures.
Yeah, I've got to say as well, like whenever I've put together a little app, sometimes the most painful bit is seeding like a fake database, because it's just like so I can't, you lose inspiration after the first couple, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? So yeah, if somebody's already like made one for you, it is super good. So yeah. Thanks for the hot tip there.
Yeah, I feel this is a good plug for Justin's bird data streaming series.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I've had a little bit of some problems cleaning the data, but yeah, now I've figured it out, and now it's just beautiful bird data that is consistent. So tune in on Monday at 3 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yes, Justin is 8 hours behind UTC, so that would be 11 p.m. UTC, but the recordings will all be on YouTube. So yeah, if that time of day is not good for you, then come to youtube.com/RedisInc and you will find the recordings under the live tab. And yeah, that data set is actually crowdsourced, isn't it? So it's something that people who see birds out in the wild can actually log that sighting. That's why it's so big.
Yeah,
I love how confident Justin was that it's standard time. I was saying something earlier today. I was like, Eastern Standard time. So I just drop it. I just say Eastern time. I figure it's on whoever's listening to figure out if it's standard or daylight.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I mean, it's only happening within like 3 days, so people will figure it out.
That's fair.
Yeah, or we could all just use UTC, and everybody just starts on the same.
We can't be on like a universal time. That would be way too logical and easy.
Or you could be basically lazy developer mentality, which is me, and subscribe and hit the notified thing, because then it'll, at least Twitch should email you. So you'll know.
There you
That's a good tie-in. That's a great tie-in.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
lazy underplug. That's like super meta lazy, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. I'm doing that thing where I'm going far away, back again. But yeah, so anyone who's watching live, please let us know what time it is where you are, and also what time zone you're in, because I feel like I know a lot of time zones, but there are some with names that I've never heard before. So please let us know what time it is where you are, and what the name of your time zone is. So for me, 1834 GMT. One of my pet hates actually is when we're in British summertime, which is different. It's an hour different. People still say GMT because they don't know what the difference is. They think because you're in England, it's always going to be GMT, but it isn't. When you change it clocks with summer. The stand user +3. Captain Coman's in mountain time. Captain Coman's in the mountains, like the mountains. 11:34 a.m. That's a very decent time of day. That is a really good time of day for a snack, isn't it? A little snack and a little drink of choice. I think a nice cup of tea and a biscuit. 11:34. Won't ruin your lunch, but it'll keep you going. Sandeep's in India and it's 12 a.m. Sandeep, what are you doing? Go to. Oh, maybe you are. I was going to say go to bed, but you might actually be in bed. That would. That might be a possibility, because you know what we can do with technology these days. You can watch from anywhere when you're in bed.
So I'm a bit of a night owl. I'm usually up until about 1 a.m. So.
Oh.
Me too, but I'm not watching folks doing work and talking about databases. But you know, that's just me.
Well, I'm usually playing video games, so.
Oh, you're a gamer, yeah. I'm probably digressing now, but I don't know if you've ever watched Awkwafina is Nora from Queens, the sitcom. Oh, I love that show. But it's basically a woman who is a stand-up comedian in New York. She's half Chinese, half Korean. And Nora from Queens is a semi-autobiographical sitcom.
Okay.
And the episode we just watched was Nora was gaming all night, but she also then found herself a day job. So it just, yeah, she always gets herself into some strange situations. So she had to basically stay awake the entire time. And as you can imagine, that led to a bit of chaos and quite a lot of hyperactivity. But yeah, no, it's good to know where everyone is. So Captain Coban wants a biscuit now. So do I. I feel like I've done my own legs there. Because I haven't had my dinner yet, and it's 6:30 in the evening. So I don't know why I mentioned food. But yeah, I totally get why Sandeep would be up at midnight, because my family on my mum's side live in the Far East, and they are very much night owls. So they will go out and socialise quite late at night, and they'll stay up very late at night as well. So I think that's probably where I get it from. So yeah, cool. Okay, so that was where to get your data sets and where to find your demos. We have got another question here, which Simon is going to talk to us about. Let's bring it back. So, another one. Can you help me? These people know how to tug up my heartstrings. I swear to God. These people come on Discord. Can you help me? Yes, we try. Simon, talk to us about this.
Yeah, first off, this one might be a little hard to read because there's a difference in font sizes between the two screenshots. But basically, what's happened here is this person is running Redis in Docker, which is a pretty good idea. They're also running their application in Docker, which is a pretty good idea because it allows you to have consistent development environments between multiple developers. And the problem they've got is that their application can't talk to Redis. And it may well be that this works outside of the Docker containers. And what happens when you declare a couple of services like this in Docker Compose is you pretty much run two different computers. So the application is running on one, the Redis instance is running on another. They're both virtual, so they don't really exist. They're like containers in Docker. And these two things need to talk to each other. So if your code connects to Redis on localhost when it's running on your machine natively, and you've got Redis on your machine, and you suddenly put it into Docker like this, you'll find it won't necessarily want to connect because localhost is now the machine that just the application is running in, and Redis is actually running in a separate machine. And they've got a service there called Redis. And we've got sort of an example application that I think was actually worked on in Hacktoberfest, and somebody helped us out with kind of this exact thing. So this is an application. It's a Node.js application. That really doesn't matter what it is. Basically, the pattern is it's an application that uses a Redis database, and they're in different containers. This one happens to be quite a fun little game, so you can go look it up and play it if you like, and I'll put the link in the comments later if it doesn't end up there. Okay, there we go. It's in the comments. So you can go have a look at this. It's kind of a fun way of learning about Docker and playing a game at the same time. And because it's Docker, you don't need to install anything. You just need Docker. So this has a Docker compose file here, and let's make this a little bit more live stream friendly and bigger. And what we'll see in here is we have a couple of services. We have Redis. So we have an image for Redis. This is a little bit old. It's using Redis mod, which is basically what Redis stack is now. So Redis plus additional capabilities. And we're saying that's on port 6379 internally inside the container or that machine that it's running on. And we want to expose that as 6379. And then down here, we have a container or a service called Node, which is the application. And we have a build step for that. And we have a command that runs the Node application. And we say it depends on Redis. So basically, don't start this until Redis is running because the application needs to talk to the database. We expose a port that the web front end for the application's on. And then down here, I'm passing in an environment variable called Redis host, and we're setting it to Redis. So inside Docker's network world, the host name Redis will resolve to whatever service Redis is configured as, which is Redis mod in this case. And Redis mod exposes 6379. So in this environment, our correct host name is Redis:6379, and the application needs to understand that. So the way we've done that in the application is, get rid of this. This isn't hello to the previous ioredis question. This is an ioredis application that uses the ioredis client. And what we do is we determine where Redis lives from the presence or not of some environment variables. So we have a port, a host. So the port is where the application runs. These are the Redis ones, the host, the port, and the password. So here, when this runs in the Docker container, the value of Redis host is actually going to be pulled from this environment variable, and it's going to be Redis down here. And then that'll enable this application running inside a Docker container to connect to Redis in the other Docker container. So the long and the short of it is you were probably still trying to talk to localhost when you've moved your application into essentially another computer, and now it's got that layer of separation from Redis. This is definitely a good pattern to do because it gives everyone their own local Redis container. They can play around with their own data set without messing up anybody else's. And it gives everyone a consistent environment. And again, if you want to go play with something fun, have a look at this repo. It's kind of a fun game. And as part of our Hacktoberfest over 2 years now, this game's like gains sound effects and sprites and all sorts of things that take it way beyond the original developer relations demo. It was originally like a demo for Redis.json or something like that.
Cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, and like Simon said, so in case you don't know what Hacktoberfest is, it is a month-long celebration of open source, which happens in October each year. So Hacktober, October. And what happens is it is managed and overseen by DigitalOcean, the company. And so you sign up with DigitalOcean, and then you submit 4 pull requests throughout that month. And organizations and repo maintainers are encouraged to open up their repos to contributions from the open source community. So for the past 2 years, we here at Redis have been doing that. And that repo that Simon just showed you is one of the repos that we opened up. So Simon had a really good demo in the first place that he made to demonstrate what he wanted to demonstrate at the time, because when you work in developer relations, it's kind of what you do. You don't need to go the whole hog. But the nice to haves for him were things that he then set out in various issues and said, right, does anyone want to put sound effects on? Does anyone want to put more rooms on? Because it's like an escape room game. And we got some really nice contributions. You know, people showing us pictures where they'd gone through the game and they'd drawn out the map because they'd worked out, like, have they entered the room from the left or the right or the top or the bottom and all of that good stuff. And we also got a couple of blog posts from people who really enjoyed working on that. So while Hacktoberfest has finished for the year, but don't worry, like I said earlier, the time just goes so fast, especially when you're as old as I am. It will soon be back. We still do have one issue open on that repo. So I will show you that now in case anybody fancies it. Just go to the same link that we gave you before and just click on issues. So Simon has set out a little issue there. If you fancy it, just ask to be assigned and we'll assign it to you. You won't get any Hacktoberfest credits, but you know, we're very happy for people to come and contribute. And that goes for really any of the demo apps in here which have been created by us on this team. So we can't say, you know, do a massive contribution to any repo on there because we didn't create all of those demos and we don't really want to commit the maintainer to having to look through that and merge it in. But what we can say is anything that we personally, so me, Simon, Justin or Savannah, have created, you're very welcome to go on there. And if you want to, if you're not sure, feel free to open an issue first and say, look, you know, I think this would be a really good feature to add. Can I add it? Then we will reply. So feel free to do that. Maybe we can do an episode of that. I know, Savannah, you were working on, what were you streaming about that you had? It was a restaurant thing, wasn't it? In Python. Yeah. So, yeah, we're very happy for people to come and contribute to our apps because you can only make them better for us. So, yeah, that is the end of that question. And now we're on the final question. And it's me. So I just got to switch my screens back and go to the final slide. So this was a really nice one. We don't always get questions. Sometimes we get a little bit of praise. And everyone likes a bit of praise, don't they? So it's so nice when people give us feedback. And we don't mind, you know, constructive feedback too. But it's always really nice when somebody just says, you know, I really loved what you did there. So somebody took our Java course and they said it was great, especially the leaderboard and the rate limiter. Thanks for putting it together so nicely. And so we've emoted there. So just in case you're thinking, hang on a minute, like I really love Redis and I really love these beautiful people that I'm seeing on the stream here. I did not know there were courses. Well, okay, let me tell you about the courses. So we have a little area of the internet, which is all ours, called Redis University. And this is where you'll find our courses. So here's the course that person was talking about. If you go to university.redis.com, that's our landing page. And we have a course there, especially for Java developers. That course is one of 3 courses for programmers of specific languages. So we've got Redis for Java developers, Redis for JavaScript developers, and Redis for Python developers. And currently in the works is Redis for .NET developers. So our colleague and good friend Steve is working on that at the moment, and that will be released next year. So as for Redis for Java developers, I'll take you through that as an example. So what you'll need to do is you will need to create a Redis University account through this site, all like super easy. And then you register for this course. And what we do is we open up a new cohort of the courses every 6 weeks. And I think the new one just started this week, didn't it? Did it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize you were muted and you were just listening to me intently. But yes, so the new cohort started this week, which means you have got a maximum of 6 weeks to complete the course if you sign up this week. If you sign up next week, you've got 5 weeks and so on. Generally speaking, it depends how much time you've got. It's not necessarily going to take you the full 6 weeks. So just go in there and have a look. If you find that you get in there and actually haven't got time, I really need more time, don't worry, you can sign up for the next cohort and then you get another 6 with the clock resets for you. So yeah, you can take up to 6 weeks to do this course. Each of the course pages tells you what you're going to learn, what's going to be covered in here. what you're going to build. So you're going to build a solar power monitoring and ingestion application, which is really cool. Tells you the course outline and also the prerequisites that you're going to need to take this course. So yeah, so that's just one of our courses. I think we've got 8 or 9 out of them at the moment. If you go to university.redis.com, you can see the whole list. And if you wanted to sign up for the .NET course, you can press learn more, register your interest, and we'll email you when that course is ready. So these courses here are all open for enrollment all the time. Like I said, just depends whenabouts in that 6 weeks you join in. But it's always not a problem. You can join in again later if you don't have time to do it. So RU 101, Introduction to Redis Data Structures, something I did with Justin last year. RU 102 is the Python, Java, and JavaScript courses, soon to be joined by .NET. RU 202, Redis Streams. Everyone loves a bit of streams, so that's a really popular course. RU 203, Querying, Indexing, and Full Text Search. RU 204 is our newest course, Storing, Querying, and Indexing JSON at Speed. Savannah
And
has committed. Savannah has committed to taking this course in front of the whole entire world next week. So if you don't want to miss that once in a lifetime opportunity, tune in next week where Savannah and Justin will be working through that course. So Justin's actually streaming twice on one, because Justin, you just plugged your bird stream for Monday and we had that debate about time difference, but you're actually streaming twice because you're streaming with Savannah as well.
Yeah, I'll have to have some soothing tea, so my beautiful velvet voice maintains for those 2 hours. But yeah,
Oh, man.
it'll be all right. It'll be great. Savannah and I will be going over RU 204. It'll be a gentle introduction. Each day we'll cover one section, and then we'll go through some live coding examples that are included with the actual course. So I think it'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
It definitely will be. I mean, you're really going for it, because when I did RU 101, I was like, right, we're going to do 1 episode a week, because I actually want to do the course. I want to do the homework and all that stuff. You are properly going for it. You're going to be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the same week, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No point in wasting any time.
One section a day next week. Yeah. Well, and the thing about this one is that there's, correct me if I'm wrong, please, Justin, but there's not quite the same type of homework. It's more coding exercises where, we're going to explore some stuff on screen. We might ask some extra questions and do a little bit extra, but there's not quite as much, I'll say, external work.
Yeah. This RU 101 covers a lot of fundamentals and a lot of ground, like data structures and ways to integrate that with what you want to do. With RU 204, we have just code examples that you basically demonstrate on your own machine so you can see it works. But there is a bit of an expectation that you've taken RU 101 before, so you know some basic data structures and are comfortable with the concepts of JSON notation, things like that. And then once you know what JSON is and what Redis is, then you're golden again for this course. That's why we can actually go at an elevated pace.
Yeah, I think it's important to say the boundaries of the goldenness that you will be receiving. So you're not necessarily universally golden if you do what we say. There may be caveats. So you could golden for this course, yes.
You can also be platinum and silver, all depending on however you want to feel.
Exactly. Yeah. So earlier on as well, I did briefly give a shout out to the Redis certified geeks in our lives. Captain Codeman being one of them. Captain Codeman was contributing in the chat earlier. So to be a Redis certified geek, first of all, you need to be a proper geek. And the way that you prove this is you take 3 of our free courses plus a special exam. And the head teacher there is Mr. Justin Castilla. So Justin grades all the exams. And then if you are successful, he will email you and tell you you're golden. You are now a Redis certified geek, and you will get a special role on our Discord server as well. You'll be there for everybody to see that you are a Redis certified geek. So again, you can sign up for that via university.redis.com. That is your one-stop shop for your structured learning with us. Cool. That is all I wanted to say about the Java course and all the other courses in the Redis University. We've already plugged quite a lot of streams. So we've plugged Justin's streaming twice on Monday. Savannah is streaming once on Monday, once on Tuesday. Simon's streaming once on Thursday and doing Redis University office hours on Discord on Thursday with all of us three. And on Friday, I think all of us four are back. It depends week by week. The show always runs, but it just depends which personnel are on it. But I think we're all back next week. And I just realised that I didn't explain what Redis University office hours are. So if you have any questions about Redis University, sometimes you might get stuck on homework or whatever, you can come and chat to us on a Thursday in Discord. So we run that on one of the voice channels on a Thursday on Discord. If you join our Discord channel, if you join our Discord space, then you will see a notification come up when we go live with that on Thursdays. So that is Thursdays, 4:00 in the afternoon UTC. So yeah, anyone got anything else they want to talk about?
I do.
Before we go on.
Yeah. So because of the cough, I did not stream on Tuesday, but I'm actually going to take like a 35-minute break here, get some tea, take a little breather, and then I'm going to hop on and do some Python coding. And we're going to use some Redis gets and sets to really show off like some asynchronous programming, some awaits. My plan at least, we're going to pull up some different browser windows and do some different function calls in those and see what happens. It's going to be a learning experience for me. And if you want to see some hopefully cool examples of the difference between synchronous and asynchronous Python functions, come hang out with me right here in 35 minutes.
Nice. This is like proper TV, isn't it? In 35 minutes. Go grab your tea and biscuit.
Really late, that will still be on YouTube afterwards.
Yes. And if you can't remember what I said earlier, because the thing is, because I live and breathe this stuff, I can remember like what day everybody's on. Maybe not the time, but I remember what day. If you can't remember anything of what I said earlier, because I did say a lot, go to developer.redis.com/redis-live. You can see the schedule in there and also all the links to YouTube and Twitch, so you can subscribe and get notifications if you so wish. Well, people, it was really great chatting with you all again this week. I feel like the team's been reunited. It feels so good. And it's just before the hour, so we're right on time, which is, I think that's just pro levels of streaming, because I personally was not clock watching. Just so happens we used up the whole hour. And Savannah's got time to go get a tea and biscuit before she jumps into her stream. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Justin, Savannah, and Simon. See you again next week, everyone. Take care, look after yourselves. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.